Welcome to the Will Caminada podcast. I'm your host and guide, Will Caminada. This is a conversation episode where I bring a special guest to share with us their spiritual awakening journey and their expertise so that we can all be inspired, educated, and feel connected as one. Hello, beautiful soul. I'm so glad you're here. I'm grateful and honored that you chose to listen to the Will Caminada podcast. Today, I talked to Dr. Heather Lemuria Star Hobson, who is a leading energy psychologist, certified addictions treatment counselor, certified Vortex Healer, flower therapy healer, rainbow Rays Lightworker, and Starseed Galactic Origins Specialist Lightworker. She has worked in the field of healing arts for over 18 years and enjoys providing a unique and eclectic mix of both Western and Eastern philosophies on healing, awakening, the ascension process, which she calls incension, and personal growth work. She has developed powerful tools for activating and supporting fellow starseeds, including cosmic breathwork and customized Starseed Galactic Origins readings. Dr. Heather firmly believes in teaching her soul clients how to be their own healers and awakeners and how to claim their spiritual sovereignty. We talked about what starseeds are, how we can discover our galactic origins. We also talked about the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Orion star system, and a few more of these star beings. Dr. Heather was so kind to send me my own Starseed Galactic Origins chart reading, and we uncovered that in the episode too. So this episode is full of cosmic knowledge. If you are at least curious about your star family, or if you are already aware of their existence and you're connected with them, then you don't want to miss the show. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please hit the subscribe button, leave a comment or a review, and share this episode with your friends. Enjoy it. Hello, Heather. Welcome to the Will Caminada podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to meet with you today.
Yes, me too. I have a lot of questions about this cosmic topic that we're going to have today. Before we talk about the work that you're doing today with the Starseeds and everything, I'd love for you to share with us a little bit of your spiritual path and how you became this Starseeds expert. When did you start becoming interested in that kind of stuff?
Wonderful question. I'll try to keep it short. So I've been actually working in the field of healing arts for almost 18 years, which is hard to believe. But about almost 6 years ago, I had a really significant spiritual awakening during a breathwork. And I know that you facilitate breathwork, so you know how powerful those can be.
Yes.
And just a lot of my extrasensory gifts started amplifying. I come from a family that's very dialed into intuition and certain kind of, you want to call them psychic gifts. But I really started to deep dive into reading all types of spiritual books after that. I was actually reading The Wheels of Life. It's a book about the chakras, and my mom saw me reading it. She saw it on like the nightstand in my bedroom. She was like, I read that when I was pregnant with you.
Wow.
And it just opened up this beautiful conversation about, you know, her different intuitive gifts and my sister's different intuitive gifts. And we've always been a family that really loves the stars. My aunt had a telescope, and we would often look when there were certain alignments and things like that.
Nice.
So I started researching a lot of different things around it. Empaths, you know, I started researching that because a lot of the clients that would come to see me were very, very empathic and had a really hard time just being in a body on Earth. And then from there, this topic of starseeds just kind of came into my, into my dimension, and I just started deep diving into it. And yeah, for the last few years, I've really been all about starseeds, and it's just such a wonderful, magical thing to learn about where your soul has originated from if you identify as a starseed. And there's so many of us here on Earth right now.
Mm-hmm.
just trying to help save the planet. You know, we're in a really hard time of crisis. So Earth needs us here. You know, Starseeds came here with a specific mission. So
it's beautiful.
It's something that I feel really, yeah, I feel really excited about it, really aligned with it. And it's just such a magical thing to learn about.
Beautiful. So to set a good foundation for our conversation, can you define what Starseed is, or
yes,
so that we can understand better for the rest of the conversation?
Absolutely. Good to just, make sure we're clear on that. So it's a common spiritual belief that many people have that, you know, we all possess a soul. It's like an eternal energetic essence of who we are. And starseeds actually have souls that originated from stars, other planets, star systems, constellations, sometimes places far, far beyond what our galaxy is. And starseeds came to Earth, actually were seeded into Earth to help. You know, starseeds come here with a specific mission. Starseeds tend to have very deep intuitive gifts. And it's tricky because when we incarnate from a star or a planet or some distant galaxy, we come into this very dense third dimension. A lot of us starseeds, myself included, forget. We forget where we're from. You know, it's very difficult being here on the third dimension in this Earth plane. And so a lot of us forget. And then later down the road, once something happens, sometimes a trauma, a near-death experience, just in a breathwork, it happened for me. We kind of wake up to this idea of, well, wait a minute, I'm connected to something way bigger than just this work 9-to-5 thing. So starseeds really do come here from other dimensions, other planets, other star systems, constellations with a very specific soul purpose or mission. And starseeds and empaths, if people are familiar with empaths, tend to overlap quite a bit. We tend to be incredibly sensitive to all the senses. We tend to have extrasensory gifts of some kind, where it's clairaudience, clairsentience, clear knowing, sometimes visions. You know, we can have very prophetic dreams. Most starseeds tend to feel like they don't fit in here. They don't belong here. This isn't our home.
And sometimes the human experience becomes too overwhelming, or we just get tired.
We're like, I want to go home. It's weird. Like, we're here. I'm in my home right now, but this isn't my home. My soul's home, right? So there can be this longing to want to go home. And not really knowing where that is.
Are there a lot of starseeds incarnated on Earth at the moment?
Yes, I think currently right now, there are more starseeds on Earth than ever before. We know Earth has been going through a lot of deep challenges and crises. And so I've heard various different numbers, you know, up to 4.5 billion, which is essentially what half of the people on Earth, give or take, you know. So it might be less, it might be more than that. But a lot of starseeds don't know they're starseeds. They've forgotten and have yet to awaken. And a lot of starseeds are still little babies or little kids. So they'll figure that out, hopefully, as they grow up.
And I just wanted to clarify something I asked before we started recording, because I use, and I think I've heard a lot of people using starseeds to talk about the actual like star beings, the species from the other planets, like the Pleiadians, the Arcturians. How do you differentiate? Do you call them star beings or extra dimensional beings, and we are the starseeds because we were seated here on the planet?
Yeah, that's a great question. They're sometimes used, you know, interchangeably, but starseeds technically are us, the ones that are here on Earth. We were seeded into Earth from the stars, and the beings that are still on whatever star system or constellation, I often refer to as like star family, our soul family, our star guides.
Ancestors.
Yeah, our ancestors, our cosmic ancestors.
I love that. So, before we talk about them, I know there are many species. But just before we start talking about them, can you tell us some signs or most common signs that we can learn in order to know whether or not we are starseeds?
Absolutely. Yeah. In general, most starseeds tend to feel like the black sheep of their family.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like they don't belong either in their family or just in society in general. A lot of starseeds are very drawn to the night sky, actually prefer to be outside under the stars than even during the daytime. A lot of starseeds tend to question established hierarchies, question authority. Sometimes we can even be labeled as troublemakers or rebels because we're kind of like, we don't understand this. It doesn't work like this on other star systems and planets. A lot of us have a hard time just being in a body. We might kind of like bump into things or get little minor, injuries, accidents, little things like that can happen because it's just so weird and dense being in a body that some of us have a hard time navigating that. We tend to also be drawn to like paranormal phenomenon, aliens, ancient aliens, if you will, metaphysics, energy work. A lot of us tend to work in fields of the healing arts or just art in general. A lot of us are very highly creative, highly sensitive, deep empathy. I mean, the list goes on. There's many other traits. Those are kind of like the general overview of them.
I can relate to that. And I feel like many of the listeners can relate to that too.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So I know there are many species, we have many star friends and star families. But can we perhaps go over a few of them? Like I don't know if there is such thing as like the most important. Is there any hierarchy or anything like that?
That's a great question too. I mean, so when we talk about like the Galactic Council of Light or the Galactic Federation of Light, sometimes people often refer to that. That is a group of 12 different star beings or cosmic ancestors that kind of they're like the UN of the cosmos, if you will. So they have kind of like a group, they band together and they look over Earth, they protect Earth. So there's 12 different types of cosmic beings or star ancestors in that group. But there's well over 50 different types of star seeds, star cosmic, homes that we can reference. So there's a lot of them, actually. I'm in the process of writing a book that will cover all of them in depth, but there's so many of them. Yeah. And there's probably a lot more we don't even know about.
It's kind of like forgotten about. Like we hear about the 9 dimensions and then we hear like there's 13 and then we hear there's more.
Right. There's 15. There's how many? Okay. There's 22. Okay. There's so many. There's probably, well beyond what we are even aware of or could even comprehend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But from your experience or your observation of, the current times, which ones do you think people talk most about? I mean, the Pleiadians are famous, quote unquote famous. I mean, Pleiadians about them, and I follow a few people that channel them too. I feel a connection with them. I just found out that I actually have a connection.
You are Pleiadian. We've established that from your star chart. Yes.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk about our star charts too.
We will, yeah. So the Pleiadians are one of the main groups for sure. The Andromedians, the Arcturians, Orions, the Sirians. Yeah. So those are kind of some of the main big groups. Cool. But there's so many other ones too.
Can we talk a little bit about each of these more like famous?
Absolutely.
And so that people listening, I'm sure some people are aware of them and have heard about them or have studied about them or felt them. But I'm also thinking of people that never heard of Starseed before or heard of the Pleiadians. So
absolutely. Let's go through a few of the different starseed types and just get a little more familiar with them. I think that's a great idea. So the first one, let's go with Orion. Orion's belt that's a very prominent constellation in our sky that you can see. Orion's belt is actually one of the easiest constellations to find in the night sky. And in Orion's belt, there's 3 different coordinates. One is Mintanka. So Mintanka, that's the westernmost star point in Orion's belt. And it's kind of like this mythological land that no longer exists, you know, in some of the mythology. So I'll go over Mintankan starseeds and Orion starseeds because I feel like that's relevant for both. So Mintankan starseeds tend to be really drawn to water element. They love all things about the ocean, the beach, bodies of water. They have a very intense connection with whales and dolphins. They might even have dreams of swimming or living near lake.
That's where I came from.
Yeah, is that where you came from? Okay, you're a water baby. I love it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's just that
please do.
You started with the one that really like blew my mind when I was reading my chart. Mm-hmm. So for the listeners, Heather sent me my chart and I was reading before the interview, and I was literally that was the moment that I was just like blown away.
Oh, I love it.
Ever since I was a child, a baby, I loved whales. Like I'm obsessed with whales for no reason.
Nice.
And it's not like I've grown up by the ocean or anything, but I love water. I love the ocean and rivers and everything. I used to draw whales when I was a kid, and
I love this.
I just love them.
And I just happened to start with this one. What a synchronicity! Yeah. Okay.
And it was so funny because yesterday, just before I go to bed, I was browsing through my Instagram as one does, and I came across this account with a bunch of pictures and videos of whales, and I think I saw this video. I think it was the blue whale or perhaps the jubar. But they were swimming and they were so gracious. And I just had this thought, these beings are not from this planet.
No.
That I just had this like revelation, this feeling like, and I knew that they were sort of the first, one of the first beings on Earth when it was just water, right? But I just had this feeling. And then when I read about Mintanka, how do you say that? Mintanka, I was just like, yes, I'm from there. Because you said that the whales and dolphins may have come from there, right?
Absolutely. It was a beautiful paradise, you know, sparkly water. Yeah.
So, yeah,
like diamonds, swimming in diamonds. It's like that. Yeah.
Just wanted to share that when I read that. I was just like, yeah, I'm definitely from there.
Oh, I love that. See, that's the power of the galactic origin star chart. It's such a wonderful tool to work with. It is. So you're definitely a Mintankan starseed, which is, you know, a subdivision of Orion starseeds, right? So, Mintankans have a very strong desire to ascend spiritually and to help others do so too. And that makes sense. You're a healer, you know, you work in this field. So that's a little overview of Mintankans. And then Orion starseeds, very closely related, right? Orion starseeds tend to be a little more scientific minded. They're very interested and intrigued in all things science, chemistry, astronomy, quantum physics, genetics. Very, very intelligent and tend to really operate from their minds. You know, deep thinkers have a lot going on in their brains. They tend to be slightly more, in their minds than in their emotions, but they are deeply emotionally sensitive as well. And Orion starseeds are really like jacks of all trades. They can do it all. They have a lot of knowledge about a lot of different topics. Sometimes they can come off as slightly cold emotionally, but that's not intentional. It's just because they're so in their brain all the time, right? Sometimes there can be a little disconnect from their feelings. And
is there a difference? Because I was reading the chart and I read something about the Orion constellation being different from the Orion planets, something like that.
So it's a star system, Orion. It is a constellation, but within it there are different points, star points or other homes. You know, so you could originate from, in general, the Orion constellation, but more specifically, you probably have ties with at least one, if not multiple, different star coordinates too. So, Yeah, it's a bit, that's a big constellation. So there's lots of little points within it. But Orion's belt is a pretty prominent place that people generally find one of those they come from.
Yeah. Have they come to Earth to populate Earth before?
Oh, yeah. Orions have been incarnating for a long time. They're one of the older groups.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they the giants too? Are they known as the giants?
No, there's a couple different beings that are known as the giants, like the Maldivians, which are related to what we consider Sasquatch or Bigfoot.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Lyrans too. They're one of the oldest types of cosmic beings, and they can appear huge, like huge white-winged lions. They can appear incredibly tall when they're on their planet. When we come into bodies here, we can look all different types of ways, you know, on Earth. So, yeah.
Excellent. So can we talk about the Lyrans?
Absolutely. They're next. Yeah. So,
because you mentioned that they have this feline figure, and it's in my star chart too. Mm-hmm. And when I had my first experience with ayahuasca, mm-hmm. I felt a deep connection with felines, which was surprising for me. Mm-hmm. But it was like I actually embodied a puma and a lioness.
Yes, I love this.
So when I read that, I just remember that. So I think that's one of the greatest things about reading your chart is just because you just remember like a few moments in your life and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's what I felt really. I felt a remembrance of my origins, of where a coming home feeling.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, really a key point is that all of this information, it's not new. When you're exposed to something and you have one of those moments, your soul really is remembering what it's always known, where it's been from, where it's traveled to, all of these things. So it's really, that's a special thing when that happens. Yeah. So yes, the Lyrans. So that's a small constellation, the Harp, is where we can see it in the sky. It's bordered by Draco, Hercules, and Cygnus. So in the sky, that's kind of how you can find it. And in the Lyra star system is the Vega star, which is another type of starseed. So they're one of the oldest in the entire galaxy, Lyrans, and they tend to work through the 12th dimension. So they're up very higher dimensional beings with lots of different gifts. They're the cat people. They're felines, they look like feline hominids. So they're upright, standing giant lions, often with wings. Beings from Andromeda also can have wings, but don't always look like that feline, right, presentation. Mm-hmm. And some Lyran starseeds, when they come into a body here on Earth, might even look like they have cat-like features.
Wow.
So kind of like in their eyes, or might be incredibly drawn to cats. I'm like such a cat person. I've always have been. And it made sense when I did my star chart of like, okay, there's Lyran in there. Okay. So Lyrans have really mastered the energies of the divine masculine. So they really understand sometimes that overlooked power of just good old fashioned physical hard labor, of really being a protector. They've really mastered and embodied this like divine masculine energy. Lyrans tend to really do actually well in the physical realm, in the third dimension. They like to be really like physically active, right? Like might really like to be exercising or just stay really physical fit, like to do more like physical types of work sometimes for their employment as well. Like to push their physical limits. They're really freedom fighters too. So they will really speak up and work on fighting for injustices. They might be active in social justice work, or just fighting for any cause that they deeply believe in.
Yeah, which is necessary, right? I think that's the thing about learning about these different aspects, is because everyone is needed, right? Whether you're a teacher, an artist, or you're an activist, like we are needed in different moments, different places on the planet.
Absolutely. Every starseed has a very unique and different soul mission or soul purpose to them, regardless of where they came from, and everyone has their different gifts. So, yeah. A little more about the Lyrans here. They really love people watching. They do. You might find them people watching or analyzing the situation, kind of hanging in the background, just checking things out a little bit. Cats do that too. They kind of like hang back. They might kind of like just check things out, kind of hang in the background a little bit. Lyrans also tend to be really good natural leaders. So you might find them higher up in organizations or, running their own business even. So that's a little bit about the Lyrans. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What do we have next?
I think the next one that makes sense is the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians. Yeah. So most Pleiadians are also Lyrans. So because when Lyra in the galactic history or the galactic mythology, it is said that Lyra, their home planet, was actually destroyed in one of the galactic wars. And so they eventually moved and colonized in the Pleiades many billions of years ago. So if you have Pleiadian in your chart or you feel really strong identifications with the Pleiades, you most likely also have ties to Lyra. So makes sense. They're like, our cousins. Mm-hmm. So the Pleiades, one of my favorites, one of my soul homes for sure. The Pleiades are all about love. They're all about just infusing love into everything that they do. And they really, when starseeds from the Pleiades come to Earth, they really live with the open heart chakra, which is a beautiful thing, but we can get our heart broken a lot easier. Is the bad side of that when we're at least on Earth. And Pleiades is really interesting because it lacks duality, right? It's not an all or nothing place. It's not a black or white place. It lacks that duality. And so when we come into a body here on Earth, we get to experience duality.
Yeah.
Which is good for our soul evolution. We don't get to experience that so much home in the stars.
Yeah. It can be, I guess it can be difficult, and I relate to this. Especially like when you're awakening and you're nurturing that self-love for your, that unconditional self-love and service to others. But you're still in a 3D world, and you still have an ego. You're still experiencing duality. And I loved what you wrote in the chart too, that Pleiadians, the Starseeds, they sort of see everything as a spectrums. Mm-hmm. And for me, that really helps me, like, because I understand the concept of non-duality, unconditional love, 5D consciousness. I'm all about that, but also embracing my human self, and instead of trying to see, yes, I still experience duality, but I see it more as a spectrum, where we are, and we're here in the middle. We doesn't have to be one or the other, because we're still human beings, and we're still living in a 3D world, right?
Exactly. There's a million shades of rainbow in between black and white, so there's many different ways we can look at things. And I think that's a wonderful, resource to remember. We can look at things on a spectrum, all things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the main mission of the Pleiadian Starseeds?
Yeah, so the Pleiadian mission, they've really come here to connect with humanity, to connect with humans, and just aid them in teaching them how to live with more of an open heart chakra, to really help them embody this frequency of energy that's associated with love, love for all things, even the hard things, even the traumatic things, a deep appreciation and gratitude for all the experiences that we have while we're here on Earth. For starseeds and non-starseeds, I think that's such an important, wonderful thing that the Pleiadians come to bring, just really helping us express this element of unconditional love. Yes, working with this concept too of sacred sex and sacred sexuality, the connections that we have with other humans while we're here, and being intimate, to really like honor the sacredness.
Like bridging the sacral, the root and the sacral with the heart, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel I've always felt a strong connection with them, because I feel a lot of guidance from my heart, and I've done a lot of work on my heart chakra to open up, but still, have a balanced heart chakra, which I think it's really important. And they've helped me with that, like, yes, you have an open heart. Yes, you're finding the guidance, but the heart also sets boundaries. The heart also loves other unconditionally, but loves self first.
Yeah.
Right.
So important. So important. Yeah.
So I feel like for everybody listening, like if they have this connection with their heart chakra, they're definitely being guided by the Pleiadians. They definitely have a connection with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's something that I think, I had a hard time with in younger years of like, I just loved everything. I fall in love too easily. I meet people, I love them immediately. People are just like, you're just such a wonderful, like, glowing being. But, it's like, oh, maybe that's not good, right? Maybe that's not a good thing. But then the more I've learned about the Pleiadians, I'm like, that's a wonderful thing. And I'm just able to honor it too. And I really work from that heart center to make decisions, to make connections that feel right.
And I guess the opposite is true too. When people live from a closed heart, like the opposite of you, like not being open to love, or I think the Pleiadians can help with that, with finding that balance. Is it right to say that they are the gatekeepers of the fifth dimension?
That is where they operate from. Yeah. Like we just mentioned Lyra, they're more higher dimensional, 12-dimensional beings. The Pleiadians really work in that fifth dimension. They really do. So they're actually a lot closer to us in the third, and fourth dimension astral plane when we're sleeping. So they are ones that we can, I think, communicate with and call in any ancestors or spirit guides from the Pleiadians more easily for a lot of people. Yeah. So they're definitely working with us closely.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And we have the Pleiadian alignment will be coming. There's the different alignments that happen twice a year for a lot of these star families, star homes. And that one will be in May. So stay tuned. We'll do some fun stuff when the alignments happen to connect.
That's another thing that I wanted to mention too. As I was reading the charts, I loved that you give the alignments and the dates, and whether it's better to do a daylight meditation or a night meditation. So I think this is super, super helpful, because you can consciously like set the date on your calendar and just like, focus on abundance or manifestation or receiving, right?
Absolutely. And you can connect with any of your star families or any of these cosmic beings any day of the year, but particularly on those alignment dates, that energy is just so much more powerful, because Earth is in perfect alignment with that star system or, planet constellation and the sun. Boom, 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 all three right in a row. So the energy,
like the connection is faster. The Wi-Fi is better.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The cosmic Wi-Fi. Yeah. Absolutely.
Great. Anything else about the Pleiadians?
There's so many things we could talk about the Pleiadians. If you want to really, connect more with them or work more with them, I think, just working with your heart chakra is a great tool, working with the colors green or pink, working in that middle chakra, the fourth one, the heart chakra, helps also the upper and the lower ones. So that's a wonderful tool if you want to just try to connect a little more with the Pleiadians.
Yeah. And I've been studying the work of Barbara Hand-Clow.
Oh, I love her. Yeah.
And that's really, that for me, that was like a game changer, because there's so much information in her book. So for anyone interested, we definitely recommend, right?
Absolutely. I'm almost finished with the Chiron book. Yeah, about your
Yeah.
self-healing superpower. Yeah, it's your
Yeah.
bridge
She
to
has one
something.
that's the Pleiadian agenda.
Yes, the Pleiadian agenda is a great one as
But I
well.
started with the 9 dimensions, with the alchemy of 9 dimensions.
Oh, yes. She has so many good books. She's a wonderful author.
Great. I'd love for
Yeah.
you to talk a little bit about the Andromedan,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Another major one.
because I think I had some coordinates in my charts from there. I think it was like
You
4.
did. Yeah. 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 I think I have 4 in mine too. That one's actually very close to us as well. So there's the Andromeda Galaxy and then the Andromeda constellation. So starseeds can come from either one of those places.
I got confused. So when I asked earlier
Oh,
about the Orion, that's what I was thinking. So
that's what you meant. Okay.
yeah.
Right. I know they have the same name, but slightly different, right? Slightly different things. So the Andromeda Galaxy, it's the nearest galaxy to our galaxy, the Milky Way. And then there's the Andromeda constellation that actually appears in ours. So they're slightly different places, but related. And so Andromeda starseeds tend to share the following kind of characteristics. They really love and value their freedom, and they might go to great lengths to maintain their freedom. They don't like being kind of caged in. They're the kind of people that might just take off and go live a nomadic life. I'm out of here. I don't want to do this 9 to 5 thing, right? They might do that. Yep. They love to travel. Andromedans love to travel. Yeah, they will sometimes purposely choose that nomadic lifestyle. They don't care if they have to go by foot, by bike, by boat, by air. They'll swim. They'll get there. Yeah, they'll get there. Yeah. They generally don't like making commitments or feeling obligated to do something, and they don't like time. The concept of time is a really hard one for Andromedans, and so they might run late, or just not really want to wear a watch, or subscribe to some of the time constructs that we work in.
Yeah, I definitely relate with the traveling. Definitely relate with, like, I don't like feeling obligated to do things, but I guess with the time, the Capricorn in me doesn't let me.
Hey, that's your Earth. You're gonna be on time. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a balance. There's a balance in all things. Yeah.
But it's nice to see that it's not like set in stone. It's like it's a bunch of things that contribute to our being in this moment, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And depending on, what exactly the coordinates in your chart look like, you might have really well balanced karma from, like, let's say Andromeda. You might have really well balanced Andromedan karma. And so you feel pretty grounded in some of these. And for others, sometimes it's like they don't have a little less well balanced karma. So that's some of their mission also here on life, is to work on that so they can more fully embody the characteristics and show up in the world as they were meant to be, as their soul mission.
So I think that's important to mention too, the karma thing, right? Can you expand a little bit on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So yes, depending on when you were born and the placements in your chart, if we can identify certain ones, some starseeds will come into Earth and might have just challenges accepting some of their starseed characteristics or traits. The empathy one is a big one that comes up for people. For example, like with the Pleiades, feeling like I have so much love in me, but I'm scared to love. So I'm going to close that heart off a little bit, but it goes against your nature, and it makes sense because even in the galaxies before you came into Earth, you might've been through something really hard, really traumatic, the galactic wars, all these different things.
So they have gone through traumas too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they have. And so even though, things work different in these different dimensions, sometimes coming into a body, their soul might still hold those memories, right? The Akashic memories, and need to work on that. So coming into a third dimensional body, what do? We get to re-experience really hard things sometimes for us to remember and work through those.
So it's really like the ancestral trauma healing, because I think a lot of people are aware when they think about their family, as in, you know, their grandparents, their family lineage, and they're aware of their traumas. So it's the same concept, right? They are soul families, star
times
families.
a billion, right? I don't know if I posted about the ancestral mathematics recently, where it's like, when you think about it, you had to have, you know, 4 grandparents, like, you know, 8 great grandparents. And just when you think about what it took 12 generations back just for you to be here in this body, that's amazing. And all of the different challenges that came with that. And then when you think about what must have happened for billions of years in your star home for you to be here also, there's a lot there. Yeah. Yeah. So, you want to keep talking a little more about the karma, Starseed karma stuff, or do we want to move to star chart?
We can move.
Okay.
Any other being we talked about? So just a little recap. We talked about the Orion, the Lyrans,
yes,
Pleiadians, and Andromeda.
Do you want to do Arcturians?
Oh yeah, I think that's another quote unquote famous one.
That's a big one, right? I feel like we need to cover them. That's important.
Yeah.
And I believe both of us had that in our charts too.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go over them. That'll be good. The Arcturians. So Arcturus is a star. It's located in the Boots constellation, and that's another very old star system. So beings from there are also considered quite ancient. And so Arcturians are really focused on ushering in this new future for Earth in relation to technology, community living, and really focused on a balance and sustainability. So Arcturians often work in science, research, architecture, city planning. They're wonderful teachers too, and they do pretty well in the physical realms here. And a lot of people have Arcturian spirit guides that work with them. They're definitely something that shows up for us. We know the Pleiadians work with the heart center. Arcturians are really associated with the throat chakra. So they really work from their throat. They're very heavy into communication and transmission and sharing of information.
So that's operated in higher dimensions than 5D, or is it similar?
Yeah, they're more, 7th to 9th dimensional, but they can go wherever.
How about the Andromedans? Do they operate in higher dimensions?
Yeah, they do as well. They're closely related to the Pleiadians because they're so close to us too. But yeah, Arcturians tend to be more in the 7th to 9th dimensional realms.
Right.
Yeah, so even higher than that.
What would be their main mission or even message, since we're talking about throat chakra? Perhaps they have a message to communicate.
The beings from Arcturus are really big on helping people, helping starseeds and just individuals in general to align with their true selves and find their true voice, and then spread that truth throughout the universe, whatever that is for them. So to really speak up and share your gifts, to tap into that. So working from the throat chakra, that's something that they really support. They're also really conscientious of new sources of energy and new methods of harnessing energy. So these are people that you might see combining technology with sustainability,
right?
Air, wind, solar, that kind of technology, just to help alleviate the burden on Mother Earth.
Right. Can they be artists too?
Absolutely. I think all starseeds have a deep either appreciation or action that they're taking for creativity. And art can look like all different types of things, architecture. That's something that the Arcturians are really into. Architecture, building things, physical art, 3-dimensional, 4th-dimensional art, so yeah, that would show up for them for sure.
Yeah. And I see a lot of people channeling the Arcturians too. So are they like like the Pleiadians, are they accessible
I
to
think so.
communicate with each
Yeah.
other?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do see that as well too. I think a lot of people are really dialed in with them, work very closely with them, feel strong ties with them. So they're, one of those groups that are part of the Galactic Federation looking out for us.
Beautiful. And any traits in the way they look?
When they're in a body as a starseed or up there?
Both.
Yeah, they can be pretty tall. Sometimes might appear like in blue skinned, when they're out in the cosmos, cosmic beings. You might see them come in other like forms of like a giant light body, a pillar of light. And they also show up a lot in sacred geometry. Arcturians,
yeah, they dimension.
Yeah. So they really work through a lot of the sacred geometry as well. And then, it's interesting because I think when we're here on Earth, when we come into a body, we can look many, many, many different ways. Yeah. The Pleiadians have kind of that like Nordic look is kind of what they say, kind of like, like Viking-ish, like usually have blonde hair, blue eyes, but you can look all different types of ways when you come into a body, just depending on where your soul chose to be, what family you chose to come into. So.
Right. And have they helped? Well, I know they are helping planet Earth, but when we're talking about like the era of Atlantis or Lemuria, were they here as like lighter beings, or they were incarnated in physical bodies too?
Yeah, both, I believe. And it's interesting you mentioned like, Atlantis, Lemuria, Avalon is another one. The beings from Lyra really helped to seed a lot of the Starseeds or humans that were here then. But beings from all different star systems and planets were here during those times.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other that you think it's important to mention?
I love Aldebaran. If we want to talk about them for a minute. Yeah, they're one of the 4 royal stars. Aldebaran is often referred to as the bull's eye. It's in the eye of the bull in the Taurus constellation. So it's considered a royal star. It's a fixed star. So it's usually always in that same spot. So Aldebaran starseeds are often also referred to as Hyades, which is like a little star cluster that's right by Aldebaran star in the Taurus constellation, very close to the Pleiades. They're kind of like right in alignment with the Pleiades as well. And that's one that I have a lot of in my chart, Aldebaran. So a little bit about Aldebaran starseeds. They tend to be really kind of just soft, gentle, loving, just kind of have like this deep, silent wisdom to them. Very, very compassionate. They tend to be people pleasers. They don't like to let people down, no matter how many times they're treated badly. They kind of just continue to help, and work through things. They really, really love to help people heal and sometimes work in the healing professions. They're good at
one or two.
I think you did. Yeah. You had a couple there for sure. Yeah. They're also very charismatic, so they can be very charming. That makes sense. That's a Tauran thing, they're the bullseye in the Taurus constellation. So that aligns with some of that astrological stuff too. They tend to have a lot of ancient past life memories, which I've found to be so incredibly true. Like my whole life, I've had really interesting dreams from faraway places on Earth and other lands too. Lemuria is one of them. That's like, where did that information come from? So might even have flashbacks as well, as far back as places like Atlantis or medieval times or ancient Egypt. That's something that really shows up a lot for Aldebarans. It can show up for all the different star seeds, but it is pretty prominent for Aldebaran. They tend to be really head and heart oriented. So there's a little bit of a balance between both. which is kind of nice.
Yes.
Yeah, a little both, right? They're very passionate, musical, creative. They tend to, do a lot of different things in the creative realms, whether it's dancing, poetry, art, writing. They can be sometimes wonderful actresses or performers because they can have a very dramatic flair to them. They can be kind of a ham, like to be on stage a little bit. And what else here? Yeah. Oh, yeah. They keep a lot of wisdom too. They're wisdom keepers, wisdom hold. They have this vision for, the greater good of humanity. So Aldebaran Starseeds really kind of can see this bigger picture of why we're here, what we're doing.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we went over quite a few.
Yeah, I have just one question about, and that's actually, I want to ask your opinion or if you know anything about, there's one that I'm always confused because I've heard different points of views and different stories. The Anunnakis.
Ah, yes.
So what's the deal with the Anunnakis?
Oh, that might need to be a whole other podcast. That's a big topic.
Okay.
So essentially, I'll try to keep it simple, or as simple as possible. But before I get into that, I just want to remind people that, Earth is far older than we realize. The galaxy we live in and beyond is far older than, modern history would even tell us.
Yeah.
So if we think, 9 billion years old galaxy, right? There's many, many different hybrids too. We have to remember amongst cosmic beings and star seeds, like the Lyran Pleiadians, right? The Pleiadian Aldebarans. There can be, different kind of cosmic beings that have bred or combined DNA. So just keeping that in mind, there are some Anunnaki that are not bad, but Anunnaki are sometimes referred to as having come to Earth during ancient Sumeria or ancient Babylonian times and built the pyramids and, also spliced human DNA, changed human DNA so humans would be able to work for them better to help build the pyramids. So that's kind of like from the ancient alien perspective of it. But there's many, many other layers to that as well. I'm not exactly sure what you've heard about the Anunnaki, but people often refer to them as a negative alien agenda group.
Yeah,
that is not looking out for Earth, that actually has more malevolent motives.
Yeah, the pyramid one, I had never heard of that, but I've heard that they operated in the fourth dimension, so it's very close to us, and they basically want to manipulate planet Earth, and they incarnate in beings in human beings that we perceive as people in the power that are here to manipulate us. So like politicians or but I've also heard in an interview, I think it was with Barbara, actually, I'm not sure, it was on Gaia TV. I'm a big fan of Gaia TV. And I remember it was something along the lines of what you mentioned, of like we are mixed beings within one type of species. We may have a portion that is not quote unquote good, that is a negative entity, but because it's a natural evolution of like the denser you are, the more duality or polarity you're going to experience.
So yes, exactly. And so the Anunnaki that are maybe of a more negative agenda, how I have really been looking at it, and from many different things I've read and synthesized, they actually have very different DNA than us. Most humans, especially starseeds or angelic humans, have 12-strand DNA. Anunnaki do not. So they cannot ascend. They're just going to continue to recycle, incarnate, consume.
Really good point.
And so for us, like our whole goal here is to work not just on ascending back to source, but to take those source frequencies or Christos energies into our human form, into our soul form, to work on incension, the internal process of incension, which is ascension, to help us heal, to help the people we work with heal and awaken, and to help humanity heal and awaken. So there is a little bit of like, you know, a battle over Earth going on right now to keep it as simple as possible. I mean, there's many different layers to it for sure.
Yeah. But I think it's important to mention that, you know, people that are new to this concept, to understand that there have been galactic wars. You know, Star Wars is actually a thing.
That's a more real movie than we realize. Yeah.
But I guess, you know, it's always important to, I personally believe that, you know, it's always important to focus on your heart, really, to focus on serving yourself and serving others, and that unconditional love and that light that we all are, and just really take that journey back to your essence, because we will always find something that's negative, right?
Yeah, that's why we came here on Earth, is to experience that duality, you know? Yeah. We wanted this. We signed up for this, you know? Yeah. And I think just an important point to mention is that there's nothing to fear whatsoever. Because a lot of our cosmic ancestors are working with us from the future. This concept of time is another wonderful thing, but they're working with us from the future. We've already overcome. We've already figured this whole thing out, but we're here right now in this time space dimension doing the work. You know, and they're supporting us, overseeing it, but there's literally nothing to fear. There's no negative thing that's going to harm anyone, you know, negative alien or not. It's like we're working on it, and it's all part of the overall plan. So
and focusing on your personal vibration too. You know, that's something I talk about is if you're vibrating in higher frequencies, you're going to match these higher frequencies beings, right? Exactly. So you're going to connect with the Pleiadians, right? Because they're here.
Exactly.
So yes, I love that. And since you mentioned about like working with their energy, how can we practically work with these energies? Is it through meditation, through channeling?
Excellent question, right? What do we do with all this information once you have it, or once you are like, oh yeah, I know what starseed types I'm related to, right? I think just really, truly the best advice I can give is honoring what feels right for you. Everyone has their own unique way of doing things. Everyone has their own truth, right? It's about spiritual sovereignty. For example, when I want to channel into like the Pleiadians a little more, I'll go play in my backyard. I might go climb a tree. You know, I might have a little one-person dance party in my room, right? I might play dress up. I might do anything else that I love. You know, when I want to work a little with the Lyrans, I might really want to play with my cats. I might even like get on the ground like a cat, you know, and kind of just channel into that energy. What would it be like to be a cat right now? Meditation is another wonderful tool, and meditation is for everyone. But again, just please honor and find your own fun, unique way to do it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And I think imagination is also a great tool that
absolutely
a lot of us have forgotten because we grew older. But it's just as simple as imagine things, really, you know, and that's kind of what we do when we meditate too, you know, with visualize things. And I always guide people to connect with the emotion, right? Like if I want to go back to that moment where I connected with the puma or with the lions, I don't have to go to Peru to do ayahuasca again. I just close my eyes and I connect with that energy, with that emotion. Because emotion is energy in motion, right?
your brain, your heart, your body are time machines. Like people forget that you can literally remember something and it's like you're traveling back in time to re-experience it again. And you don't even have to go anywhere.
Beautiful.
It's really, yeah, it's really magical. So I think, yeah, meditation is a wonderful way to work with those energies. Of course, getting out under the night sky, get out under the stars. You can definitely find certain coordinates in the sky. I love the Night Sky app, which is a wonderful app. You know, you literally just put your phone up to the sky and you can find, and it lights up it animates the constellations. It's very easy to find certain things. It's a beautiful
app.
tool.
I didn't know.
It's a beautiful tool. You got to pay a little fee monthly for it, but it's worth every penny. So yeah, some star bathing, definitely working with the different alignments that come up throughout the year.
Yeah, so that's really nice too, right? So if anyone wants to know a little bit more of their star chart and the dates that are, like you said, you can always connect with them, but like the dates that connection is just a little faster with the portal open.
A little stronger, yeah.
So how can people connect with you and find those services?
Oh, absolutely. You can check out my website, www.heathershouseofhealing.com. Definitely follow me on social media. The Starseed Sanctuary is my Instagram page. I have tons of free information on the page.
That's awesome.
And then my link tree links it to everything, all the different products and how-to guides that I offer. Very exciting time. Actually, I just officially launched it yesterday, the Starseed Sanctuary membership site, which is a really wonderful monthly membership site. It's $44 a month. We'll be doing 2 live streams a month where we're going to kind of do some different healing and awakening work, working with energies. I'll be covering in depth at least 2 different starseeds every month. This month, we're doing FOMO Hut, which is Pleiadian rebels, and the Spickens from the Virgo constellation. So those are the 2 we're covering this month. But we're also going to go over the different alignments and do some group meditations and really just kind of tap into a little current day harmonic convergence.
That's already out. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's really exciting. Yeah.
So I guess if people are interested in I mean, there's so much information out there. Even like this podcast hopefully has brought insights and knowledge, but I guess if anyone wants to go deeper, then they can connect with you. You do the star chart. Do you do one-on-one with people too, other than your membership?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I offer one-on-one. If you want to discover what your starseed origins are, I do Starseed Galactic origins readings. It's a very in-depth process where we work with your natal star chart to look at what coordinates align with certain star homes. Really wonderful tool to work with. And then I also do, just one-on-one sessions if people want to work on like ascension coaching, healing, awakening. I also do business coaching for starseeds if you want to get your starseed business up and going. So a wide range of different things that I can support people with individually.
Yeah. I think it's really important to make this clear, because I think some people might be thinking, yes, it's very fun, but like, how does it serve me knowing about this, having this awareness? And in fact, it serves a lot, right? Because it helps you heal. It helps you become more of yourself in this now moment, in this lifetime.
Absolutely. I always say healing is awakening and awakening is healing. And that's a process that is continual. Every time we heal or awaken, we're shedding old layers of ourselves. We're stepping into higher dimensional realms. We're getting even more deeply connected to our soul's mission, the voice of our soul, our intuition, and our cosmic ancestors too. And if this resonates for people, you know, they're probably a starseed. Some people are aware that they are, some people don't know and are curious, but I think a lot of people, and you might have experienced this as well, I have, sometimes we just get really lost in life. We can feel like, I don't know, what the hell am I here for? like, what is this all about? Right? What am I supposed to be doing? Is this even real? You know? So I think it can just really provide some very powerful clarity on what your gifts are, what your soul's purpose is, what you were here to do, and how you can connect with magical things outside of you too, for more guidance day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like for me, from my personal experience, I've been on this healing journey for a while too, but I feel like the more I expand, you know, the more I dive into this work and the more I dive into my spirituality, into my cosmic being, the more in my body I feel, you know, the more human I feel,
It's
and
so
the more I want to embrace the human in me. So I think that's also something that some people might be going through, especially like in the initial phases of awakening. There's this euphoria, but then there's like the downhill of that, which is, do I really want to be here? You know, why am I here? All of these questions, and you might even feel a disconnection with your body, even with basic things like, I don't know, technology, or having to pay for the bills, or having to do something that has to do with bureaucracy, you know, which can be overwhelming, but it's the work that we do within ourselves helps us be more present and be more embodied, I feel.
Absolutely. I love how you said that. And just the more that your soul remembers too, the more you remember, wait, I did sign up for this. I do want to be here. And it does help you be more present in the third dimension, in your body, in what you're doing day to day. You're remembering, while sometimes it seems pointless or useless or difficult, it does all have a greater purpose.
Yeah. And usually the message I get from them, it's all is well. There is a divine order that sometimes we can't really rationalize. Sometimes it's even annoying. Like, I'm like, okay, you're telling me all is well again, but I'm feeling like this, you know?
I love that. I literally just wrote, I sometimes journal right after I wake up. I do a little like, you know,
Me too.
I wrote all is well in my world today. That was what, like the first thing I wrote, all is well in my world.
Yeah. That's the message. I love that. So just to wrap up, I would like to ask you some quick, fun and deep questions.
Okay.
All right.
I love it. Do it.
So what is your definition of love?
Oh, that's a hard one. Okay. I often say to people, love is the only thing that's real. You know, it's the essence. I mean, I know I'm going to cry right now, but you know, energy is everything, but loving energy, that is one of the most important things in the world to me. And it's such a Pleiadian thing as well. Love is why we're here.
Yeah.
The love, we're beings of love, just to connect. And it's sometimes in subtle ways. It's not always like this intimate way we think of, like Valentine's Day, love, you know, it could just be holding the door open for someone at the store, you know? Yeah. Sending a little cute text to someone you know is having a hard time, you know, just really, I think, operating
the energy, like you said, you know, it's like emanating or sending love. Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Continue the sentence. Being aware of your galactic origins can
make you a super magic, awesome creature of light forever.
Love that. If you could, like overnight, bring one type of species of star beings to run the planet, so meaning we would all consciously know that they are here, which one would you choose to bring and why?
Absolutely the Lyrans, the cat people, because I just want there to be giant hominid cat people everywhere. Like nothing would make me happier than just to live amongst giant cat humans. Like so please.
Planet Earth would be a setting of the Cats, the musical.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So let's suppose that we sign contracts before coming to this life, which I believe, and I think you believe in that too. And we choose what we come here to learn as well as to teach. What do you think this would be for you, Heather, in this lifetime?
Ooh, so many things. I came to teach people how to have fun. Okay. Life is too serious to be taken seriously all the time. It's about having fun. Healing and awakening can be fun. Yes, they're hard AF. They are hard AF sometimes, but we can make it fun to just remind people to play, honor your inner child. Right. That's really everything is the essence of what I do is like, let's make that fun.
Yeah.
Let's make that trauma healing thing a little more fun because it's hard, right? It doesn't always need to be hard.
That is so important. That is so important. And we're very in sync because just yesterday when I was journaling, that's what I got too. It's like, remember to play more.
Yes.
Life doesn't have to be so serious, just remember to enjoy, be more present.
That's our true essence, that is really our true essence when we're just like, yay, having fun, being silly, light. Yeah.
Well, Heather, I want to acknowledge you for your commitment to help fellow humans to heal and ascend. I want to thank you for shining your light and being your most authentic, truest, unapologetic self. And that's what the world needs. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And likewise. I just
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Much love.
Yes, much love.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you would like to learn more about Starseeds and get your star chart, you can go to Dr. Heather's website, www.heathershouseofhealing.com. There, you'll be able to download her free resources, book a session with her, and also become a member of the Starseeds Sanctuary. As usual, you can find links on the show's notes. And once again, if this has brought you value, please subscribe to my podcast, take a screenshot of it, share it to your Instagram story, and be sure to tag me and Heather so we know that it's brought you value and your friends might benefit from this episode too. As always, keep shining your light, keep your heart open, and let love lead the way. I love you. See you in the next episode.